Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to another edition of the Starting Five with Ben Heisler. Ben, it's been a little bit of a time since we've spoken last, so catch us up. What's happening in the NBA? What do we need to talk about?
What's up, Coach? It's good to be back with you again. And I figure we start things off on the starting five today with the team that I don't want to say threw under the bus a couple weeks ago, but a team that we were very concerned about, and that was the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're currently in the 5 spot, sitting at 30-20 as we record this today. They're winners of 11 straight, so they're currently the hottest team in the NBA. And I mean, the last time that we talked, we were discussing whether or not David Blatt is going to remain the coach through the remainder of this year. You think we gave up on the Cavs too quickly?
Oh, I think so. I had tweeted out somewhere around that show that we did that there was an alternate universe where the Cleveland Cavaliers get to the finals because you simply can't count out LeBron James. And
Right.
sure enough, there they go on this big win streak. Everything gets hidden because when you're winning, all this stink gets put away. It's very possible it could rear its ugly head again, but so far it's a nice thing to know that David Blatt is completely safe and we're not hearing anything right now about what's going on there.
And you know what the crazy thing is that we still haven't seen the best of what Kevin Love has to offer this year. I mean, there's still talk about whether or not his confidence is where it needs to be. And the fact that they've won 11 straight and LeBron's been playing a lot better and they've been a little bit more responsive and been better on the defensive end. I mean, as somebody watching this team from afar, I never counted them out because of how bad the East was. And all it takes was for them to start rolling a little bit and get a little bit more confidence and improve a little bit on the defensive end for them to really start to get themselves going. And that's exactly what we've seen over this last few weeks stretch.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not so sure we've seen enough of an adjustment for Kevin Love to get elbow touches like we did a breakdown of. But you're right. Most NBA players do not lack confidence. That's what's got them there. They're going to have it. I just think that Kevin Love is deferring a little bit. I think he's happy that they're winning and willing to be whatever he can be to help them continue that. And, you know, everyone says they're going to need him in the playoffs, and that's true. And that's when they're going to take away other things that will then force Kevin Love to have to make plays, and I'm sure he'll be there ready to do it.
Yeah, I think so as well. And again, I've always said this before, especially watching the LeBron James Miami teams take care of the Bulls that were a lot deeper against them, that whenever LeBron can go ahead and guard your best player, that takes out whatever advantage they have. So let's transition that, Coach, to our next topic, which is the East in general. I'm curious to know who you might consider putting your money on in the East to go ahead and move on to the finals. Is it Atlanta? I mean, they had a 19-game winning streak. They're currently number 1 in the East. We've seen how well they've played throughout all season. The Raptors really in just a position to cruise in just a bad division. The Wizards are number 3. They've lost a few games in a row, but they're very deep, have a terrific backcourt. And then you have the Bulls at number 4 that have been pretty inconsistent as have the Cavs. So if you look at those 5 teams, I think those are clearly the 5 favorites you have out of the East. Which one do you think you put your money on?
I still like the Hawks. I still think that, even though they didn't look good when they lost their huge winning streak, there's something about watching them play where it's hard to imagine that you're going to be able to shut that down for 4 games in the period of 10 days. It just seems really difficult to do that, primarily because they also can play some defense. So I as a coach, you got to back that. You can't ignore that. There are some other teams in there, and I think Cleveland ends up being the one team that's going to be the most dangerous. I'm really concerned about the Bulls. I've watched a few of their games over the last week or two, and I got to tell you, for all the issues I have with Russell Westbrook and the way he plays the point guard position, Derrick Rose is doing a lot of the same stuff right now, and it's really frustrating to watch. And I don't know if that's going to be enough to overcome.
Yeah, I agree with you. I got a chance to watch Rose in person when our show here in Kansas City was covering the Super Bowl out in Arizona, his game in Phoenix. And really what we've seen out of Rose over the last several games is just bad, just force-up shots, especially a lot of threes. He's not a good three-point shooter. And he still has those moments. That's what's so frustrating to me, Coach, is that he still has the ability to get that quick first step to be able to go to the basket. And we saw a couple of flashes, but I think for whatever reason, he just doesn't have this feeling that he can go and he can kick it out to guys on the perimeter. I mean, Butler's improved on his three-point percentage. Mirotic, for whatever reason, hasn't been getting a lot of playing time lately. I think maybe Thibs doesn't love him at the 3. I'm not buying the fact that because Mike Dunleavy is out, that all of a sudden Derrick Rose's role with the Bulls changes. Like, this is someone who can get to the rim. He needs to go back to the free throw line. And when he's jacking up shots, he's really hurting his team.
Absolutely. It's decision-making because he doesn't need to. First of all, he still jumps on every pass he makes. And,
Yeah.
you know, his turnover rate is probably in reason of what a point guard would have, but some of those turnovers are just bad turnovers. They're unnecessary, needless, jumping in the air, getting stuck, having to throw it away. Also, the hurdling to the hoop. He used to be really good at that, where he was out of control, yet could still balance his body and finish those shots. He's not doing it that well. And then his three-point shot, you know, we talk about the sway where your feet's supposed to come forward. He is the opposite and ends up shooting with his upper body in front of his feet, fighting his lower body to get that shot off. It's never going to be a consistent shot that way. So he's sort of battling his own self right now, and I don't know if it's enough time to sort that whole thing out before the playoffs start.
I agree with you. I say the two teams that should be there fighting for the East are the Bulls and the Cavaliers. I think ultimately we're looking at maybe a Hawks-Cavs finals, and I think Cleveland, now that they're starting to figure it out and that they have LeBron, ultimately move on. That's who I'm putting my money on in the East thus far.